5 bone-chilling true home invasion tales that haunt you forever. The night was thick with an eerie stillness, almost like the world was holding its breath. Shadows lurked in every corner. People tossed and turned in their beds, blissfully unaware of the horror that crept silently through the suburbs. This isn't just another evening tonight. 5 true stories would intertwine with your worst fears, leaving a chill that settled like an uninvited guest. In a quiet neighborhood in Minnesota, police discovered a house that was a total nightmare. Neighbors watched as the lights flickered and strange shadows danced behind curtains. All seemed fine outside, but once the door opened, chaos awaited. Footprints in the snow, leading straight to the back door, sent shivers down everyone's spine. What had happened inside? No one dared to ask. Then there was the tale from Pennsylvania. A family was having dinner when suddenly, their phone blared to life. A chilling voice echoed through the line, "I see you." The room went dead quiet. Who could be watching them? With trembling hands, they called the cops, only to discover a hidden camera planted in the living room. The realization hit hard: they weren't as safe as they thought. What other eyes had been lurking in their home? Weeks later, an unsettling incident in Florida made headlines. A woman caught a glint of movement in her backyard security footage. It was a figure, with pale skin and hollow eyes, creeping toward her door. She thought it was a nightmare until she realized she was awake. Her heart raced as she grabbed her phone, but when the police arrived, they found nothing. Who was lurking in her yard? A shadow without a name. Just when the tension couldn't rise anymore, an abandoned house became the focal point of a ghostly mystery in Texas. Teenagers dared each other to step inside and film their fear. But what they captured was more than laughter turned to screams. In the footage, a man stood in a corner, half visible, whispering something that sent chills down their spines. When they reported it, locals said the house had been empty for years. Who was the figure they claimed to see? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The final story takes us to a serene Washington neighborhood. A family returned home from vacation, exhausted but thrilled. They unlocked the door, only to find their living room was a total mess. It looked as if someone had been living inside their home. Items were scattered, furniture tampered with. But the scariest part? They found a note on the kitchen table, written in shaky handwriting, "I've missed you." Who had been there while they were gone? What did they want? As the clock ticked onwards, the shadows seemed to stretch longer, wrapping around the last flickering lights. Each story left you wondering about the things that lurk just beyond the veil of safety. Were there more lurking in the silence of your own home? Who is watching? It's a question that hangs in the air, an unshakable mystery, and one that beckons you to turn the page. The wind howled outside, a haunting melody echoing through the dark. In the wake of those chilling tales, questions lingered, twisting through the minds of every listener. Were they truly safe in their own homes? With the eerie grip of reality tightening around them, the sense of dread built, simmering beneath the surface like a slow burn. Not far from the Washington neighborhood, nestled in a quiet cul-de-sac, a young woman named Megan sat on her couch, her mind racing. She had heard the stories, each one digging deeper into her subconscious. She could feel the shadows creeping closer, wrapping around her, tightening. Her phone buzzed, a text from her friend Sarah asking if she wanted to go out. Just a quick escape, she thought, grateful for the distraction. Minutes later, Megan pulled into the familiar parking lot of a cozy local diner. The neon sign flickered open 24 hours, it read, but the light seemed oddly dim in the enveloping darkness. As she stepped inside, the comforting aroma of coffee allowed her to let out a deep breath. Maybe the encapsulating fear would stay outside, at least for a little while. "Hey, Meg." Sarah waved energetically from a booth in the corner, the amber light illuminating her smile. The two friends caught up, laughter echoing as they swapped stories. But then it happened a flicker, the lights dimmed suddenly, leaving the diner bathed in shadows. A quick gasp escaped Megan's lips, the hairs on her neck prickling. Was it just me? She wondered, glancing at Sarah, who seemed unfazed. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked, detecting the sudden change in mood. "Yeah, just thought I saw something outside," Megan replied, forcing a smile. Yet a nagging urge pulled her attention to the window. The streetlights flickered, then a figure appeared clad in a long coat, looming just beyond the glass. Heart racing, she squinted. Was it just her imagination? "Meg, come on. Let us take a selfie," Sarah urged, but Megan's focus stayed glued outside. "Did you see?" She trailed off, her voice barely a whisper. "What? What is it?" Turning back to the booth, Megan's phone vibrated violently on the table. A notification lit up the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. "I see you." The breath caught in her throat, her heart pounding like a drum. Panic clawed at her insides. "Who is it?" Sarah leaned closer, curiosity written all over her face. "I don't know." Words escaped her as she hesitated. This felt all too familiar, echoing the stories she had heard earlier. "I can't do this. I need to go," Megan blurted, rising abruptly from the booth. Outside, the cold air struck her face like a slap, forcing her to focus. The figure was gone. Had she imagined it? Was it a trick of the shadows? She withdrew her phone, hands trembling as she scrolled, searching for any clue. Then another buzz. It was a video message from the same unknown number. With trembling fingers, she pressed play. A shaky clip loaded. Her eyes widened, heart racing as she realized it was her front porch from just a few seconds ago, empty, yet with a whispering voice narrating the scene. "I've missed you." What did this mean? Who was watching? The world felt unsteady, a dizzying spiral into paranoia. Megan dashed to her car, each step echoing louder than the last, desperation propelling her forward. As she fumbled with her keys, a soft, creeping shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. The unmistakable chill of dread slithered down her spine. She wasn't just racing back home, she was bolting toward an unknown terror waiting for her. Someone was familiar with her life, too familiar. And with every step she took, the looming question wrapped around her, tighter and tighter: was she truly heading home or toward another nightmare unfolding? The answer awaited her just beyond the door, where the shadows danced, whispering secrets only nightmares could understand. What horrors lingered inside when she returned? The darkness swallowed Megan as she stumbled into her driveway, her heart hammering against her chest like a wild animal desperate to escape. The dim porch light flickered, casting uncertain shadows that stretched across the ground, as if warning her to turn back. She could feel the weight of unseen eyes heavy on her, chilling her bones. Each breath was a battle, a struggle between the urge to flee and the alarming need to face whatever awaited her behind that door. What was it the voice had said? "I've missed you." She clenched her teeth, forcing her trembling hands to steady as she reached for the door. That message, it gnawed at her. Who was this person? How did they know her? The thrill of panic surged through her veins, but she wasn't going to let it win. Not yet. Steeling herself, Megan pushed open the door, the familiar creak almost unsettling in the silence that enveloped her home. The moment she stepped inside, dread washed over her like a cold wave. Everything seemed eerily still. "Hello?" Her voice quivered, breaking the silence. Was anyone there? No answer, only the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. It was almost mocking, a reminder that time was moving forward while everything else stood frozen in fear. She glanced around the living room, flicking on the light. Nothing looked out of place, yet the unsettling feeling remained, gnawing at her. Another buzz. Megan's phone vibrated on the kitchen counter, pulling her from her thoughts. Another message. With bated breath, she snatched it up. The screen glowed ominously in the dim light. "Check your closet." Her stomach twisted. Panic coursed through every inch of her body, electrifying her senses. She glanced at the closed doors along the hallway, each one potentially hiding a monstrous secret. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she fought the rising tide of dread threatening to pull her under. "Stay calm," she whispered to herself, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. She forced herself to walk down the hallway, steps measured and cautious. The shadows deepened around her with each second, as if waiting with bated breath for her next move. Gripping the doorknob of her bedroom closet, she hesitated. Just a moment. What if it was nothing? The thought of facing whatever lurked inside sent her pulse racing faster. Yet, if she didn't look, what if it was something worse? At that moment, she remembered the stories, tales of people caught off guard by unseen horrors lying in wait. She inhaled deeply, letting it out slowly, aware that hesitation could cost her dearly. Finally, she turned the knob. It creaked as she pulled the door open, her heart beating like a drum in her ears. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, there it was something shifting in the back corner. She squinted deeper, breath lodged in her throat. A figure? Without thinking, she jumped back, abandoning all pretense of composure. She stumbled, fearing she had set her eyes upon the very nightmare she dreaded the most. But then it moved again, falling forward. A heap of clothes, her jacket tumbling out. Her heart sank. Just clothes. Just a pile of jackets, but the initial surge of horror hadn't dissipated. It had morphed into something different, something more dangerous, the realization that her fears might be valid. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, feigning a sense of relief. She glanced down, fingers icy as she read the new message. "Don't turn around." Blood coursed hot through her veins. She turned slowly, feeling as if she was caught in a terrifying dream but unable to wake up. Dust motes floated serenely in the air, improbable serenity compared to the storm brewing in her heart. Behind her, the shadows seemed to lengthen, and just out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement. Megan's heart dropped. Who was there? The walls felt like they were closing in, and terror turned into action. She darted for the front door, desperate for escape. What was coming after her? Would she be able to escape, or had she unwittingly stepped into a realm of fear from where she'd never return? Just as her hand reached the door, a heavy thud echoed from behind her. The moment she was about to fling the door open, the house groaned, and an icy whisper curled around her. "You shouldn't have checked." A rush of fear pulsed through her. This wasn't just a game anymore, it felt personal. What darkness had she invited into her life? With heart racing, she turned one last time to face the terror, determined, resolute, but trembling. What lay beyond the door of her own home was not only a nightmare that could unravel her, but a confrontation that could change everything. Would she find the strength to face the unknown? Or would she become just another story whispered in the dark? Megan's heart raced as she turned slowly, her breath hitching in her throat. The shadows danced in her peripheral vision, each flicker teasing a shape just out of sight. She strained to hear over the frantic thumping of her heart a rustle, an almost imperceptible whisper. Had she actually conjured someone from her past, or was it only her mind playing cruel tricks? Who's there? She managed, her voice barely louder than a whisper. The silence that followed was thick with anticipation, each moment stretching like rubber bands, ready to snap. She shifted her weight, surveying the living room, the darkness pressing against her, encroaching. Her options were stark: the door behind her, the shadows closing in, or the whirlwind of chaos brewing in her mind. With a sudden surge of resolve, she took a step back toward the door, but the floor groaned beneath her like a wounded animal. The sound echoed ominously, and in that instant, she froze. She could almost feel the breath of something behind her, cool and taunting, brushing against her neck like a feather. In a desperate bid for clarity, her phone buzzed once more, the screen lighting up with an intrusion. But at that moment, she couldn't muster the courage to look. It felt like the harbinger of doom. Instead, with trembling fingers and a wild flutter of panic in her chest, she grasped the door handle, hoping it would grant her safety, but the door wouldn't budge. A frantic jolt surged through her. She twisted the handle frantically, her mind racing. No, no, no. Panic tightened around her throat like a vice. What kind of horror movie was she living? In the stillness, the air shifted. A faint rustling came from the hallway, closer this time. Was it just the house settling? Or could it be the shadow she had felt trailing her? Megan's pulse thundered in her ears as she turned to face the hallway, her eyes straining against the dark. "Show yourself!" she shouted, surprising even herself with the ferocity of her voice. It felt like a challenge, a spark of defiance against the terror that loomed. But the shadows remained still, an ominous threat that partook of her fear. Then, as if summoned by her desperation, a soft giggle erupted from the depths of the hallway. So sudden and innocent yet deeply unsettling it chilled Megan to her core. The sound twisted like a knife in her gut. She wasn't alone. Whatever it was playing with her, drawing her deeper into the snare. "Stop it!" she shouted, anger overcoming her fear. "Just show yourself already." But her bravado faded as quickly as it appeared. Silence clutched at her, thick and suffocating. Just then, an idea struck her. The window. She bolted toward it, heart in her throat, willing it to be open, pleading for an escape route. The familiar sound of the latch echoed like salvation. But as she pushed it up, a sudden breeze rattled through, carrying with it a whispered voice. "You've come back." Megan's breath caught painfully in her chest. A memory flashed, a face she'd long wanted to forget, a friend turned enemy, someone she never expected to haunt her again. The very person whose name echoed in the back of her mind every day. Frantic thoughts spun through her mind, each one demanding answers. Had she unintentionally summoned this tormentor? Was it revenge or simply a sick game? As she weighed her chances of escape against the gnawing dread, she turned once more to face the dark hallway behind her. But her heart dropped as the vague outlines of a figure emerged. Tall and imposing, it lurked just beyond the reach of the light. "Why did you come back?" it whispered, voice dripping with malice and longing. The room felt smaller, the air oppressive as dread clawed at her throat. In that moment, her world tilted off its axis. The door, could she still make it? Or had she walked right into a trap? There was no time to weigh the consequences. With one last glance at the silhouette, she hurled herself back toward the front door. But would she reach it in time? Had she truly fallen back into the embrace of a past she couldn't escape? All she could think was, there was still so much she didn't understand. Just as her fingers brushed the door handle, heavy footsteps echoed from the shadows, sending a fresh wave of terror through her. Were they getting closer? Whatever had drawn her into this vortex was not finished yet. And as the door creaked under her grip, she wondered, who was truly hunting who? The answer loomed just behind her, leaving her with the most chilling question yet: what darkness awaited when she finally opened that door? Megan's heart felt like a drum in her chest, echoing the silence that enveloped her. Just moments before, she had been searching for escape, but now it seemed the shadows had a voice, and it was speaking her name. The presence behind her beckoned with a familiar malice, an echo of memories she had tried so desperately to bury. She gripped the door handle tightly, her knuckles white as fear blazed through her body. The figure remained shrouded in darkness, but the outline was becoming clearer, a slender silhouette with an unmistakable stance. Each second stretched painfully, as if the universe were holding its breath, waiting for her next move. "Don't you remember me, Megan?" The voice slithered through the air, a chilling reminder of a time filled with laughter turned sour. It was her old friend, the one who had turned against her. "You had everything I could ever want. And then you just disappeared." Megan's breath came in shallow gasps. Those words, wrapped in venom, sent shivers down her spine. She couldn't face her not like this, not after everything that had happened. She tried to turn the knob again, but it felt like pressing against a solid wall. The door was stuck, a cruel joke in her hour of need. Thinking fast, she darted to the window, her fingers fumbling with the latch. Just as she began to lift it again, that giggle echoed through the hallway, bright yet laced with darkness. "Where do you think you're going?" It was playful yet predatory, each word wrapping around her like chains. The shadows deepened, swallowing the light, transforming the room into a claustrophobic prison of fear. Megan felt the panic rise. There was a familiar thrill and cruelty in her old friend's tone, something sinister that no one should ever have to experience. "I just wanted to talk," Megan called out, her voice cracking. She hoped a plea might evaporate the tension and bring back some semblance of reason. "Talk? Like we used to? Your honesty was always your downfall, Megan." The figure stepped closer, and with each careful glide, the shadows slinked away, revealing a grin that sent ice running through her veins. "Remember the last time we had a little chat? What was it you said? We'll always be friends." Memories flooded back to her, snapshots of joy tainted by betrayal. Trust shattered in an instant. That was a long time ago. "Things changed, you changed," she stammered, desperately searching for a way to bridge the gap between them. "It's because of you I've been waiting here, Megan." Now, the malice thickened the air, and Megan could see the glimmer of something sharp in her friend's hand. "You left me in the dark, and now it's your turn to face it." Realization crashed over her like a wave. This was no ordinary reunion, this was revenge. With a surge of adrenaline, she shoved upward on the window, praying for an escape. The hinges creaked in protest, a warning that time was slipping away. She knew she couldn't stay trapped in this moment. The shadows were hungry, ready to consume her. "Don't you dare leave." Her friend lunged forward, hands outstretched like claws. In a frantic rush, Megan threw herself toward the open window, her fears fueled by the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She felt the cool breeze kissing her cheeks, and for a tantalizing second, hope flickered. But then, the crushing weight of inevitability pressed against her chest. Just as she jumped, she felt a hand grip her ankle, pulling her back toward the darkness, as laughter ricocheted off the walls. Megan's mind screamed for escape, but she realized there was a far more sinister twist to this reunion than she ever imagined. What awaited her, out in the world beyond, might be kinder than what fate had in store back home. As she tumbled into the unknown, she grasped onto one thought that shattered her heart: would she ever be truly free? Megan fell into disorientation, the air rushing past her as she tumbled into darkness. The grip on her ankle fell away, but the fleeting sensation of freedom vanished. Instead, a weightlessness overwhelmed her, a sense of falling further, deeper into the void. With a startling thud, she landed on solid ground, the impact sending waves of pain through her legs. Dazed, she fought to regain her senses, blinking against the darkness that surrounded her. The echoes of laughter faded, but only to be replaced by silence, an oppressive stillness that felt unnatural. She scrambled to her feet, panic clawing at her throat. Where was she? The ground beneath her was uneven and rough. As her eyes adjusted, she noticed a faint glow ahead. It pulsed with a ghostly light. Instinct kicked in. She needed to get to it. With cautious steps, she moved toward the light, heart pounding wildly. Each breath felt heavy, like trying to suck air through a straw, and her skin prickled as if she were being watched. What kind of game was this? The thought of her friend, that treacherous smile, sent shudders deep into her bones. The closer she got to the glow, the more familiar the environment began to feel. It wasn't just a light, it was a window that looked back into her past. Through the glass, she could see her childhood home, memories flitting about in jagged pieces, igniting old emotions like dry leaves catching fire. A loud crash echoed from within, pulling her attention from the display. A figure darted through the hall, and Megan's stomach twisted. Was it her, or the dark shadow of something worse? No. Don't! She shouted, but the warning slipped into the void. Suddenly, the window shimmered and distorted like rippling water, and Megan felt the ground shift beneath her feet. With a jolt, she realized she wasn't merely an observer, she was being drawn in. Tendrils of shadow seemed to stretch toward her, coaxing her closer until she could feel their chill against her skin. Panicking, Megan fought against the invisible force, but it was no use. She was ripped through the window, swallowed by darkness once more. This time, she landed inside the haunting memories that danced in front of her like specters. The room looked familiar yet foreign, the same wallpaper, the same creaky floorboards. She was trapped within her own past, but the atmosphere crackled with an energy that felt wrong. Images flickered, arguments, betrayals, laughter turned sour. And there, at the center of it all, a vision of her friend grinned back at her, eyes alight with a wicked glee. "Welcome back." The friend's voice echoed, a taunting melody that pulled at the seams of her sanity. "Isn't it cozy here? No more escape, just us." Megan's breath grew erratic as she fought to regain control. She was in her own home, yet the environment felt alive, thrumming with malevolence. Where was the way out? Each heartbeat felt like a hammer pounding against her ribcage. "Your honesty has always been your downfall, Megan," the voice rang out in laughter. "Did you think you could just forget?" "Forget?" Megan whispered, her voice trembling. "Forget what you did? You'll remember and then you'll join me," her friend said, shifting shadows enveloping her figure. Even the air felt like it was tightening around Megan, squeezing every ounce of strength she had left. And then, a new sound broke through the paralysis: soft sobbing. Megan turned toward it, desperate for answers. Instinctively, she raced toward the sound, hoping to find an ally, a flicker of hope within the gloom. As she neared the source, she stopped short. A figure crouched in the corner, soaked in shadows yet strikingly familiar. "Help me please," but as she stepped closer, recognition shuddered through her. It was her younger self, the innocent girl trapped within this haunting. The realization hit her hard: if her past wasn't buried, neither could her future be. "Who are you?" the younger version whispered, eyes wide and full of terror. Megan's heart sank. The true battle wasn't against her friend, it was against herself, against the girl she had lost long ago. "Can I save you?" she asked, breathless, as the shadows closed in once more, obscuring her path. But then, the laughter erupted around her again, wild and chaotic, drowning her question in its chaos. Megan braced herself, the walls of the past pressing tighter, fully aware that the next confrontation was looming, and nothing would ever be the same. What if she couldn't save either of them? Megan stared into the wide, terrified eyes of her younger self. The resemblance was uncanny: the same untamed curls, the same expressive brows, both mirroring the confusion swirling in their minds. The shadows that pressed around them were suffocating, thickening with each heartbeat. "Why are you here?" the younger version asked, her voice a trembling whisper that echoed eerily in the silence. "Are you me?" A swell of emotions crashed over Megan, threatening to drown her. "Yes. I'm you. But I've grown up. I've lived through this nightmare." She stepped closer, heart pounding against her ribs. "But we must get out of here. We need to fight back." "No!" the younger Megan shrieked, panic lacing her voice. "I can't go back. I won." She pressed her small body further into the corner, shaken and terrified. Megan's chest tightened as she reached out, trying to bridge the distance, desperate to connect with the frightened girl. "I'm here to help you. Whatever you think you know, the fear, the pain, it doesn't have to win." As those words left her lips, the walls seemed to tremble, pulsating with a sinister energy. The shadows retreated momentarily, revealing flickering scenes of betrayal and heartbreak, moments Megan had tried to bury. She watched herself cry into her pillow, saw the shadows of the past cling to her like a curse. "Help me. You know what it feels like to be small and lost." The younger Megan cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. But the instant that plea resonated, a gust of chilling wind swept through, snapping Megan back. A dark mist surged from her friend's taunting laughter, circling like a predator ready to pounce. "Oh, don't you see? The more you fight, the tighter the bonds of the past become." Megan's breath caught in her throat. Walls closed in around her, shadows shifting like malevolent spirits. It felt like a vice, squeezing, reminding her of how real the fear used to be. Would she succumb again? No. I won't let it. Megan shouted, reclaiming her voice with raw strength. She reached for her younger self, her hand trembling as she bridged the gap. "I'm not leaving you behind." With every ounce of will, Megan pulled the girl into an embrace, their figures intertwining in the twilight shadows. For a fleeting moment, the coldness of despair softened. It felt as though time suspended itself, weaving threads between their souls. But then, face to face with her younger self's reflection, Megan felt the darkness pulse and tremble. The familiarity twisted, morphing into visions of her friend, an unsettling grin curling upon her lips. "Do you truly believe you can escape your past? You'll fall apart. Just like before." The dark voice echoed through the heavy air like a funeral dirge. Megan's heart raced as flashes of memories surged: the lies, the deceit, the betrayal. She recognized that laughter. It felt like shards of glass scraping against her insides. Megan shuddered, the realization hitting her. It wasn't just her past haunting her. It was the weight of choices she had yet to confront, the guilt that wrapped around her heart like chains, suffocating her. "No!" she screamed, then turned her gaze to her younger self, strength surging within her. "I can't let this define us. We can change the outcome." The shadows surged, dark and ravenous, stretching out like grasping claws. But Megan stood firm, unwilling to be pulled apart. "Hold on to me. We'll break free together." And in that moment of fierce resolve, something within her snapped. A blinding light pierced through the chaos, illuminating the darkness that threatened to consume them. Then, the laughter morphed into a desperate wail, a sound that cut through the walls. The shadows shrieked, retreating, but not without leaving a chilling promise hanging in the air. "You haven't escaped yet." Megan's heart raced as the light enveloped them. But as it swallowed them whole, she felt a pang of doubt take root. What if the shadows returned? What if her friend wasn't truly gone? And as the light began to dim, leaving them at the precipice once more, the next choice loomed. Where would they land? What would await them in this swirling unknown? The questions crashed against her like waves, leaving her breathless as she clung to hope in the tempest of her own mind. Would she regret unlocking the truth, or was this the only way to shatter the chains built upon her past? Megan blinked as the light faded, revealing a realm that felt both familiar and foreign. They stood on a fog-laden street, an echo from the past. The houses loomed, their facades cracked and peeling, whispering secrets lost in time. She glanced at her younger self, who looked terrified, eyes darting around like a trapped animal. "Where are we?" The younger Megan whispered, clutching Megan's hand tightly, as if fearing the mist would whisk them away. Panic surged within her. "This is where it all began," Megan replied, her voice thick with emotion. Memories flooded through her, the laughter, the moments of joy twisted with something darker. This was the neighborhood where she felt most alive and most afraid. Suddenly, through the haze, a figure emerged, a tall, shadowy shape leaning against one of the dilapidated houses. It was indistinct but powerful, the kind of presence that made you want to run. The air crackled with tension, reminiscent of the nights drenched in fear. "Megan," the shadow crooned, voice deep and taunting. "Have you come to play again?" Megan's heart raced, recognition slamming into her like a freight train. It was a voice she thought she had buried, one that twisted memories into nightmares. "No. Leave us alone," she shouted, stepping in front of her younger self, who trembled even more fiercely. The figure laughed, a cold, rattling sound that echoed through the desolate street. You think you can erase me? I'm always here, lurking in the corners of your mind, waiting for you to slip. The ground beneath them trembled. Megan felt a sinking sensation, as if the earth itself was shifting to swallow them. Determination ignited like fire in her veins. We can face this together, she shouted, igniting a flicker of courage in her younger self. Together the younger Megan echoed, squeezing her hand. Yes. You must remember fear is just a liar, Megan said, her voice bold despite the shadows closing in. The figure seemed to ripple, recoiling slightly at their shared conviction, but the backlash was immediate. From the edges of the fog, dark tendrils shot out, slashing through the air like frenzied snakes. You think your strength will save you? You're naive. The shadow hissed, reaching for them with icy fingers. Megan felt a jolt of fear, but she held her ground. We are stronger than you. We have each other now. With each heartbeat, a glowing force began to emerge, radiating warmth amidst the darkness. Megan focused on it, urging it to grow. She felt the connection tighten and deepen between her and her younger self. Together, they formed a barrier of shared pain and love that surged like a wildfire. The shadow shrieked, its form wavering as bright light pushed back against the encroaching gloom. You will regret this. You'll always regret it. As the light flooded the space around them, Megan's mind raced. The memories she had hidden bubbled to the surface, the good and the bad. The moment felt like standing on a precipice. She could leap into the light or fall back into shadows. Are you ready? She asked her younger self, urgency lining her voice. This is our chance to break free. The younger Megan looked uncertain, fear still gripping her heart, but she nodded slowly. Yes, let us do it. Just then, a sharp crack echoed through the night as the shadow lunged forward, but the radiant light pulsed around them, pushing it back. It's now or never. Megan shouted. They braced themselves as the tendrils of darkness struck at their barrier, desperation shaking the very core of their bond. And then, with a collective breath, they leaped forward, light blazing in a burst of brilliance, the shadows scattering like ashes in the wind. But as the brightness enveloped them, a piercing scream filled the air. It was a scream of rage and despair that echoed into a deafening silence. Megan's heart stilled. Had they truly escaped? Or was this just another layer of their nightmare? As they landed in the unknown, the ground beneath them felt different, a heavy pulse thudding underfoot. What lay before them could be prepared to redefine their fight against the darkness, or could it be an even bigger trap? And all at once, a familiar voice called out from the fog, a voice dripping with malice. I hope you like surprises. The fog swirled thick around them, wrapping them in a chilling embrace. For a moment, Megan's breath hitched in her throat as darkness clawed at her resolve. She blinked, trying to clear her mind, but the voice echoed in her head taunting, reminding her of every scrape and bruise that shaped her. Megan, oh, how I've missed you, the voice gloated, dripping with a sinister sweetness. It slithered out of the mist, a wicked caress that sent shivers down her spine. Stay close to me, Megan urged her younger self, who quaked beside her, eyes wide and glistening with unshed tears. Remember our light. It's still with us. But even as she spoke, tendrils of doubt knotted in Megan's stomach. How could they trust the light would protect them now? Tell me, did you think you could escape? The voice danced through the air, swirling around them as the fog thickened. This is where nightmares come to play. Megan clenched her fists, heart pounding like a war drum. We're not afraid of you, she shouted, her voice breaking the oppressive weight hanging over them. The figure emerged fully from the fog, its features sharp and distorted, like a broken reflection in a shattered mirror. There was something strikingly familiar about it. Fear gripped her heart. No, 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 she mumbled, inching backward, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Yes, Megan. It's been years, but I'm always in your shadows, your regrets, it hissed, stretching a long, thin finger toward her, each lunge slow and deliberate. Just like the memories that haunted her. You thought you could bury me, but I am your past. I am your truth. Enough. Megan felt the warmth rising like a flame within her, a fire igniting her fight-or-flight instincts. You don't own me. She felt her younger self's grip tighten, the warmth fueled by shared resolution. Do you really think you can change what's inside you? The figure spat, its form flickering in and out, like a broken projection. The truth can't be erased, Megan. It's been written in blood. The ground beneath them quaked as the shadow lunged forward, dark tendrils stretching outward, eager to ensnare them. Megan saw her younger self falter, eyes wide with fear. Focus, remember our strength. Megan shouted, raising her hands. Light flared in response, sparkling brightly, reflecting their shared courage. The darkness hissed, recoiling. The fog thickened, wrapping around them like a vice. They had to break through, had to find a way out. We just need to push through, Megan urged. Hold on to the light. Together, the younger Megan repeated, her voice trembling but firm. With a roar of determination that drowned out the darkness, they surged forward, fusing their light until it ignited like a shooting star. Tendrils slashed toward them, striking against the barrier they'd formed. But instead of breaking, their bond grew stronger, fusing them as one against the crumbling threat. Stop. The figure's voice shook, panic slicing through its malevolence. You can't do this, you win. But the light blazed brighter, filling the air with a warm, golden hue that pushed back the shadows, boiling away the fog. For a breathless second, it seemed to shimmer, bright enough to blind. Then, all at once, silence engulfed them. No shadows, no taunting voice, just an eerie calm that felt like the eye of a storm. They stood, breathless, on the brink of something undefined. Did we do it? The younger Megan whispered, her wide eyes darting around, searching for signs of the darkness. I think so. Megan replied, her heart still racing. But deep down, doubt festered. Was this a reprieve? Or a cruel trick? Just then, the ground vibrated again, pulsing like a heartbeat, and a whirling mist rose around them. A dark silhouette took form on the horizon, grinning wider than before. Surprise! It cackled, a cacophony of laughter intertwining with the gasping fog. You thought you could run from me? You're still in my game. Megan's heart plummeted. How could they escape this nightmare? And as the figure loomed closer, darkness swirling around them, a single thought pierced Megan's mind. Was this the beginning of an even bigger fight? Would they risk everything once more, or was it time to face the absolute truth of their fears? Megan's breath hitched in her throat, panic clawing at her insides as the shadow twirled closer, each step like the tolling of a bell signaling doom. With dread anchoring her feet to the ground, she turned to her younger self, whose terrified eyes mirrored her own fears. We have to stop running, Megan whispered, her voice trembling yet insistent. It's time to confront this together. But how? They're getting closer. The younger Megan squeaked, clutching at her arm as the darkness swirled around them, coiling like smoke. Remember the light, Megan urged, clenching her fists. It's inside us. We can harness it. We have to believe in it. With a shared look of determination, they clasped their hands tightly, feeling warmth pulse from each connected heartbeat as if igniting a flame between them. The shadows seemed to recoil as they united, whispers of doubt vibrating through the air. You think you can shine bright enough to extinguish me? No. You don't get to control us anymore. They shouted in unison, voices ringing like a bell of defiance. With that declaration, something shifted. The shadows screeched, scrambling away as if scalded. The realization hit Megan, unity and truth had become their weapons against the terror that haunted them. They focused, drawing from the deep well of memories, both good and painful, channeling that energy into a radiating force. As they concentrated, light swelled around them, vibrant and unyielding, igniting the dark corners of their minds. The outline of their fears shimmered, wavering in the brilliance, revealing the cracks in its facade. It stopped, confusion flickering in its eyes, it wasn't he prepared for this. Face it. Megan shouted, heart racing with adrenaline. You can't keep us trapped. You're just a collection of our past insecurities. The shadow hovered, its laughter faltering. You think you can just dismiss me? It hissed, the air thick with anger. I was born from your fears. Megan tightened her grip around her younger self, heart swelling with the truth they both had felt for too long. You can't own us anymore. We choose to step into the light. A radiant beam erupted from their clasped hands, a pure light that sliced through the fog like a powerful wave. The shadow screeched in panic, its form dissipating against the onslaught. For the first time, it seemed fragile, a fading echo of the turmoil it once embodied. As the brightness surged, Megan felt the bonds of her guilt and fear unraveling, dissipating against the intensity of the light they had forged together. She could see all the moments that had held her back: failure, betrayal, regret, each one dissolving into nothingness. The laughter of the shadow transformed into a cry of despair, shattering against the brilliance that surrounded Megan and her younger self. You'll regret this. I will return. Its voice faded into the darkness, dissipating like smoke. In a blinding flash, the world around them morphed, with warmth flooding in place of the cold, consuming darkness. The thick fog lifted, revealing a vibrant sun-soaked landscape. Freedom lay just ahead. Evidence of hope bloomed in the distance. They stood together, staring into what had once been a prison, now a vast horizon filled with possibilities. We did it, the younger Megan whispered, disbelief tinged with awe. Yes, we did, Megan replied, heart soaring with relief. Excitement brewed within her, she was no longer just a victim of her past. She had triumphed over it. In that moment, a wave of nostalgia swept over her. She turned to see echoes of their past memories swirling around them, floating like leaves in a gentle breeze. Each memory was now a part of her light, illuminating the path before them instead of holding them captive. Let us go home, Megan said, extending her hand. Together, they took their first steps toward a brighter future. As they walked away from the remnants of darkness, a new chapter awaited them, a life filled with freedom, where they would choose to embrace adventure, courage, and the love that bound them in unity. And while shadows might linger at times, they now knew the truth: light would always pierce through, because they were stronger together. Now it was time for new beginnings. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. This is the moment to show your support.